So what is the goal? The goal is to be financially free, all right? So what is financial freedom? So we have to do some definitions. What is financial freedom? Now, financial freedom is when your passive income exceeds all of your expenses. Now, I want us to always be on the same page. Nobody should ask you what financial freedom is and you are stammering. Write this down. Financial freedom is when your passive income exceeds all of your expenses. So that begs the question, what is passive income? What is passive income? Passive income is the income you generate whether you are there or not. Now, active income is the income you must be there to make. So active income is like your salary. It's like if you have a small scale business, what you're making from there is active income because you have to be there to make money. You have to go to office for you to get paid salary. So that's active income. Passive income is the income you generate after you must have built a system that will be paying you whether you are there or not. Or maybe you have an investment portfolio that pays you whether you are there or not. So how do you create financial freedom? Quickly, create leverage passive income. And this is the table. Some of you have seen this cash flow quadrant. So choose the quadrant you want to be. If you're on the left side of the quadrant, you can only create active income. If you're on the right side of the quadrant, you can create passive income. So the E quadrant, employment quadrant, is where you have, you're an employee. Now, the problem here is the formula on this quadrant. There's no leverage on this formula. So the formula states U times a job equals active income. But this formula is dangerous. Why? Because U times a job is active income. That means if you're not present, 0 times the job equals 0. 0 times anything is 0, right? So if you are not present in the job, you make no money. It's called active income. Even if you're present in the job and the job is no longer there, U times 0 is still 0. So you operate active income. You can make money there, use that money wisely, use it to set yourself up to enter into the B quadrant. But that does not happen to most people. They spend the money sentimentally, emotionally, and they remain there and they want financial freedom. You can never get financial freedom from an E quadrant. Solely from an E quadrant. No. S quadrant is self-employed quadrant, which is a little bit better. You don't have a boss telling you how much you earn, when to come to work, and the rest. You have your own small-scale business. But the problem here, this is where you have professionals, the doctors, the architects, the lawyers, the consultants. You know, they are the experts in their fields. So you're self-employed. But the problem here is that it's still the same formula. U times your expertise equals income. U times your expertise as a lawyer, if you don't, people bring money to you because of your expertise, all right? So that's the only way you make money. But then U times your expertise equals income. If you have the expertise and you are not available, you are ill, you had an accident, will you make money? No. Active income. If you have a client that wants you to represent him in the courtroom, and he's willing to pay you 100 million, and you are ill, you cannot move, or you have gingivitis, or you have sclerosis of the melanocytosis, whatever it is, and you cannot step out in the court, will you make that 100 million? No. Active income. That's the challenge. So the formula here is very terrible. You can't stay here. Remember, there is no sentiment when it comes to money. Money gravitates to those who understand it. Passive income, let's go to the right side of the quadrant, where you have the B quadrant, business owner. Now, what makes the business owner is the formula. It's not self-employed and B quadrant. S quadrant, B quadrant, almost the same thing, but the difference is in the formula. You see, the business owner quadrant is where you own a system and network of people working for you or working with you. All right, that is the B quadrant. Now, the formula here is U plus people in bracket times the system equals passive income. Let me say it again. U plus people in bracket times the system equals passive income. So what does that mean? U plus people. So if U plus people, let's say you have 100 people. So U plus people, 100 people is 101 in bracket times the system equals passive income. So here's the key. The system is stable. Once that system is there, whether you are there or not, you continue to make money. Once the system is built, it is built. Once the system is built, it is built. Whether you are there or not, you continue to make money. Let's use the formula. So let's say you have a system that brings you money, all right? That the system it manufactures value, it distributes value, and people need this value. Through this system, people are acquiring the value. Consumers, right? Now, you have a community that pushes the system to consumers. So what if you are not present? Something happens, so that means you is equal 0. 0 plus, and remember, people is 100. So assuming you're not there, you are ill, you have a medical issue, and then u is equal 0. 0 plus 100 is 100. 100 times the system, you still make money. I see what business owners enjoy. That's why they employ many people. But in network marketing, if you cannot build a traditional business, which is very expensive, which is really killing, you'd have to deal with financial risk and all. Network marketing is an alternative for you to build business quadrants. So that means you plus people, but the people are not the people you employ. The people are your partners who form your community. So even if you're not there and you have a large network, your network is still functioning times the system in the network marketing space, you continue to make money for the rest of your life. So what rich people do is they start a business, they own a business, they run a business. The excess profit coming from there, they begin to push it into what? Investment. Investment, the formula here is money times investment system equals passive income. So this is where you're now pushing your profit, your excess profit times the investment system. It could be any investment system. It could be PLI. It could be money market. It could be Forex. It could be shares and stocks and bonds. All right. But now be careful, guys. You can see on Instagram, on social medias, people coming up and saying, no, don't eat all of your money from you're an employee. Why don't you put some of the money in investments? Please be very careful of people like that. They're not telling you the full truth. You cannot play in the I quadrant as an employee. You cannot even play in the I quadrant as a self-employed. Now, let me explain. Because I quadrant is highly volatile. You can make super big money in one big investment pool, and you can lose everything in one occurrence, just one occurrence. So imagine you're in the employment quadrant and you have saved 40 million for 40 years, all right? And now you want to invest. You can't do 40 million and put in an investment. And investment goes high and you make 45 million. You're happy, right? Or let's say you make extra 5 million. So that's 45 million in total. And then because that happened, you want to put more. So you carry the 45 million and put back into the investment and you make another 10 million. So that's 55 million. What do you think will happen? You are still in the employment quadrant. You are still entertaining all the insults from your bosses and stuff like that. Then the day you now decided to gather more money and put in, 60 million for the investment and it goes bad, you lose everything. What did you lose? You lost your life work. You can go mad. Yes. You can, where do you start? You didn't only lose your own, you lost the money that other people entrusted in your hands. That is what happens every single day. Nobody tells you that. Store your money as an employee. Store your money as a self-employed. Gather the money and start a business. Yes, sir. Own a business, run it for 4, 5, 6, 10 years. Then become financially free by carrying the excess money coming from your business owner quadrant and pushing it into investor quadrant. So that if you put the 60 million in the I quadrant and you're a B owner, and then you lose the 50 million or the 40 million, what happens is that your B quadrant business is still bringing in 5 million, 1 million, 800,000, 10 million, 20 million every month. So if you lose the 60 million or the 40 million in investment, you can put more back because you have a business that produces income for you, whether you are there or not. Am I communicating, sir? I don't know if I'm communicating, sir. So at this point, watch this. The B quadrant, business owner quadrant, is where you create leveraged income. You plus people in a bracket times the system equals leveraged passive income because you're leveraging on the efforts of people. Joe Paul Getty said it. I'd rather have 1% of the effort of 100 men. So here's the conclusion. What is your quadrant? So is it either you're an employee, you work for salary, no financial freedom, or you're self-employed, you work alone, or you have less than 100 people working for you, there's still no financial freedom from this quadrant. Or you're a business owner and you have more than 500 people working for you or working with you, and this is where you build financial freedom. Or you are in the investor quadrant. So how do you know you are in the I quadrant? You have 100,000 and above in dollars in investment portfolios, all right? So if you have like 5 million in an investment portfolio, in 5 million naira in an investment portfolio, you are not playing in the I quadrant yet. No, you're not an investor. Yes, you have some investments here and there, but that will not amount to wealth or financial freedom for you because your investment portfolio is too low. So according to Harvard, it's usually from $100,000 and above. And also according to Harvard, from 500 people and above, if they're working with you or for you, you own a business, right? So this is how you know. So what you now need to do, and this is what I did, I moved from self-employed to B quadrant first before I started going into investor quadrant. So if you're an employee, try your best, move to the B quadrant, and then find your way in the I quadrant. When your passive income exceeds all of your expenses, then you are financially free. So that means if your passive income is still too small, you're not yet, if it's still smaller than your expenses, you're not yet financially free. So maybe you earn 500,000 every month passively, but then you and your family and your estate, you spend around 550K every month or 600,000 every month when you calculate everything, you are still not financially free. All right. So Joel Brown said that your destiny cannot be received if your mind is stuck in the fears of the past. Learn from the past, refine your present, and create your future.